sexually abusing and performing lap dances on a 13-year-old boy behind closed doors. She faces...
Welcome back to Looking for Better Days. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, click all so you can be notified anytime that I upload. This story is an interesting one. Teachers getting caught in some more nonsense. Let's get into it.
How was this alleged abuse discovered, and where could this case go from here? We break that all down with former sex crimes prosecutor Kathleen Bogenschutz. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. I think it was last week when I said, I'm sure we haven't heard the last of educators accused of sexual misconduct. No. And sometimes it seems like, I don't know, it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
Because now we have
pretty
40...
much. You know what? I'm sorry. I know we just started, but first of all, this lady's accused of lap dances, giving lap dances to 7th graders. Why not just go work in a strip club if you want to do all that? And obviously 7th graders won't be there, but you'll have a male to do whatever lap dances you were doing on. That's the first thing. The second thing is, how much of this are we going to allow as a society? How much are we going to allow people to destroy these young people's lives? Continue to stand by and just watch these situations happen back to back to back. So far, 98% of the videos that I've done on my channel are about female predators trying to, or succeeding in, getting young boys into some type of relationship of sorts, sexually by nature. And it's like there's no end to how many of these videos there are. And that's just me being honest. Let's continue.
7-year-old Connecticut guidance counselor Luisa Melchioni accused of giving a lap dance to a 13-year-old student in her office, performing other sex acts with him, and also sending him naked pictures. Yeah, she had also worked at the Nathan Hall Middle School in Norwalk. The married mother of 3 has been arrested for second-degree sexual assault and 2 counts of risk of injury to a minor. And my understanding, these are very serious felonies.
Married mother of 3. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? As a society, what are we doing? These ladies all have kids. All are married. If that is supposed to be the thing, the driving force, like why do we end up having relations with children? Like what is this? I need to know.
Can carry potentially years in prison. She has resigned from that school district. It's also been reported that her husband has filed for divorce and is now seeking custody of their children. And one of them reportedly is just 2 years younger than the alleged victim in this case. So,
and
how did this all come about?
What makes their son or daughter that is 2 years younger any different from this child that she met in the street and decided to do this with? That is the confusing part, because everybody keeps talking about what these people are doing to other people's kids. And I know that's the main focus because that's where the crime took place. But what about what they could have potentially done to their own children?
Was this brought to the surface? Well, according to the Norwalk Police Department, they opened this investigation in April, and that is when they received a complaint. And reporting indicates that the defendant had given her phone to a friend, a fellow teacher, because apparently his phone wasn't working. And that's when he allegedly found all of these sexually explicit text messages with this boy. So the friend reportedly then tells police. Investigators reportedly speak with the boy, who allegedly confirmed that this guidance counselor had in fact sent him nude photos, and even says
props to that teacher. Shout out.
And food for him, even gave him $100 over the Christmas holiday.
So she was tricking on him.
According to Melchioni's attorney, she has posted a $500,000 bond. She was released from jail. Reporting indicates she's on house arrest. She can't have any unsupervised contact with minors except her 3 younger children. And for this, I want to bring on right now.
You know what also confuses me? Like, if you're caught up in this mess, you got kids. Imagine the embarrassment that your kids have to live with. Forget about the husband and you deciding that instead of wanting a mature adult that you chose to marry in a intimate way, you want a child that's not even fully developed in an intimate way. That's so disrespectful. And I'm not saying that in a funny way. Like it's there's no other way to put it. And then on top of that, your kids have to go around knowing that their mother is being incarcerated for having sexual relations with a kid a year or two older than them, and they were a kid at the time, obviously like younger. This is just that's ridiculous. Like you thought about no one but yourself. The level of selfishness that goes into this decision making that's happening to allow these things to happen, this is different levels of it.
A criminal defense attorney and former sex crimes and child abuse prosecutor, Kathleen Bogenschutz. Kathleen, thank you so much for coming on. Where does this rank? Of course, where does this rank in terms of the cases that you have seen? And by that I mean, I know it seems like every week I'm talking about another case that may be worse than the next, but this one is again another instance of not only alleged abuse, but blatant abuse in the open. A Georgia teacher who married her high school sweetheart is accused of sexually abusing one of her students. We're taking a closer look at this teacher's history within her rural community and the case with a board-certified psychiatrist. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the GBI, says a 25-year-old former teacher in rural South Georgia had sexual contact with a student, and that no matter what, it wasn't consensual. Chastity Cheyenne Knight, maiden name Chastity Denmark, was booked into the Toombs County Detention Center at the end of August, and she has been charged with one count of improper sexual contact by employee, agent, or foster parent. Consent, not a defense. As you can see, there's...
You know what I find interesting? I find it interesting that a lot of the women who are convicted of these crimes, people will say, oh, well, the boy was almost 18, or, maybe they'll make up some type of excuse in order to justify the situation. And I ask those same people, if this was your daughter, your niece, your little sister, and the man was 25, 26, and she was 13 or 15 or 17, would you still feel the same? And the reason why I ask the question that way is because I don't think people put themselves in the shoes of the person who is being violated in this situation. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it'd be great for, bragging rights as a kid or whatever, but this is not what this channel is about. This channel is about bringing awareness to the nonsense, because there's too much of it going on. And I don't believe that women are held accountable the same way that men are held accountable in society in general as a whole, much less when it comes to these type of activities. And I want to hopefully get people to understand that this is just as serious as if a man was looking, like if a man became a preacher and decided to be a creep after he became a preacher, and that people would say, oh, the only reason why he went to that work at that church is because he wanted to be creepy. But when these teachers, the female teachers that do this, they're not like, oh, well, they're doing the same thing. It's a really weird dynamic. I don't know if that's a social, what do they call it? Social programming, basically. Sorry about that brain fart. But regardless, I think it might be social result of social programming, because people aren't thinking logically in that scenario like that.
There's a very, very specific Georgia statute. And to give you kind of an idea of what it is, one version of it reads, quote, An employer agent commits the offense of improper sexual contact by employer agent in the first degree when such employer agent knowingly engages in sexual explicit conduct with another person whom such employer agent knows or reasonably should have known is contemporaneously, and one example, enrolled as a student at a school of which
Gotta
he
look
or
up that
she
word,
is an employee or
contemporaneously.
agent. So there's kind of that power dynamic there. Now, that was first degree. Second degree would exclude sexually explicit conduct. I have to tell you, at this point, we don't know exactly the specifics of what she's charged with, which degree it is. There's a lot of details we don't know. And by the way, depending upon the degree and the circumstances, the potential prison time can vary in certain cases. For example, first degree, in this case, with this statute, you could potentially be looking at 25 years in prison. But going back to Miss Knight, she was a teacher at Toombs County High School up until April of 2024 when the school board accepted her resignation. But here's the thing, they may not have known the true reason behind her quitting, or what may have been the reason for her to quit. I say that because in a statement, representatives for the Toombs County school system had said, quote, they had recently been notified by law enforcement of an investigation into an allegation that we had no prior knowledge of relating to a former employee being involved in an inappropriate relationship with a student. Okay.
So
now, investigators believe that
my issue with all of this is like, this is splitting hairs, because if I rob a bank for $1 versus me robbing a bank for $100 million, I don't think there's much of a difference. It's still robbery. And I'm gonna need them to stop. Like, I know that legally you have to word things a certain way, but come on now. Like, let's be real. Like, this is splitting hairs at its finest. When they come up with all these excuses and stuff like that, like, does it really matter to what degree it was done? Like, okay, I give you a good example, and you guys can watch the video. It'll be in the link in the description. But if you, as a man or a woman, I would even say just as a man, if you go outside and you are using the bathroom outside and a child happens to walk by, God forbid, and they see what you're doing, you can be charged with indecent exposure. You can be charged with whatever else comes along with that. I would think it's some type of sexual charge, even though you're not trying to sexually violate that person. But do you see how the context of that is like way out of whack? But it still is what it is when it comes to the law. And this is the line that I feel like they're not drawing with a lot of women when it comes to these crimes. Like, they're just like, oh, well, maybe she did this, maybe she did that. No, there's no maybe. Like, either she did it or she didn't.
Sexual contact with a student back in January, although we don't know the child's age or gender since that information hasn't been released. Not surprising, sometimes in these cases it's sensitive information. Now, Knight is certified to teach agricultural education, and in 2021, she started her first full-time teaching job at Toombs High, her alma mater. Yes, that's right. Knight herself had attended Toombs High School, graduating in 2017. This is according to the school district. In fact, her social media pages show that she married her high school sweetheart, Stormy Knight, just a few years ago. Facebook posts seem to show that the two participated in FFA together, that's Future Farmers of America, showing livestock at shows during their high school years. In 2016, Knight, then with the last name Denmark, was apparently the Toombs County FFA vice president. Now,
and then it's like, what is it with the married people?
Work with this organization, leading groups of high
Everybody's
schoolers.
married and
as
doing
recently
this.
as February, it's our understanding that Knight posted photos from an overnight trip to the Georgia Junior National Livestock Show. When she graduated from Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College in 2021, Knight apparently put a frame around her Facebook profile picture saying, "I am proud to be a teacher." But officials say she used her position to abuse her power over one of her students. On August 19th, the Toombs County Sheriff's Office requested that the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, come in, take a look at this case. They had gotten a report of possible sexual abuse by a teacher with one or more students, so she was arrested shortly after. And for now, Knight only faces one count of improper sexual contact. And the GBI says once it finishes up its investigation, everything's going to be handed over to the Middle Judicial Circuit District Attorney's Office for prosecution. And also, I should tell you, for now, the Georgia Professional Standards Commission's website seems to show no ethics actions have been taken against Miss Knight.
It just seems, by the way, it just seems strange to me that if a man was accused for anything that even hinted at a sexual nature with an underage child, they are going to the 9th degree to find out what it is that he did. They're not holding any information. They're putting it out on every street. Before he even gets sentenced, he'll be registered as a sex offender. Like, I don't know. The leniency is crazy. But anyways, this is the end of the video, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified anytime that I upload. Also, click all so it can notify you of every upload. Join the Discord, link is in the bio. The links to the original videos will be in the bio. And y'all be safe. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.